Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Operation and Public Safety Committee meeting. We're going to get started here. We have about 5 things on our agenda tonight. We'll start off with the roll call, please.
Thank you, Council President. Council President Boyce?
Here.
Councilmember Fincher?
Here.
Councilmember Kaur?
Here.
Councilmember Larmer?
Here.
Councilmember Michaud?
Here.
Councilmember Thomas? Councilmember Troutner?
Here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. We're going to move to item number 3. I'm ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Marley. Motion is second. In discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record show unanimous pass. Thank you. Move on to item number 4, 4A, approve of the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes from October 4th.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. We're going to move on to item number B, payments of the bill. Ask for a motion, please.
Chair, I move to approve the payment of the bills.
Second.
You guys, get it together here. Okay. All right, in discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. All right, item number C, uncollectible accounts. We have Paula Painter. Hey, Paula.
Good afternoon, Council President Boyce, members of City Council. So today I'm here with the payment or to write off uncollectible accounts receivable accounts. So just to give you a little history, the City of Kent has a policy which we follow where we go back 3 years and look at accounts that have not been paid. So what this is doing is going back to 2018, compiling all of the accounts that have not yet been paid and putting it here on this account. There is one, for this write-off here. There is one item from 2019 and it's related to a bankruptcy, and so we're not going to be able to collect on that, so it is included. The total amount of the write-off is $116,161. That's about 4.4% of our receivables balances, which also includes about $4,600 in finance and interest charges. $111,800 of this amount is in collections now, and even though it's being written off, it will remain in collections. We still can collect on this money and we will happily accept the money beyond this point. Like I mentioned, $4,300 of this is not in collections, one of which is related to the bankruptcy that I mentioned. The other is just over $4,000 related to B&O taxes for a business that's closed and is deemed uncollectible. So those are not with the collection agency. So today I am asking that you approve the write-off of uncollectible accounts that are owed to the city for $116,161.
Hey, thank you, Paula. Any question for Paula, team? Councilman Troutner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is this average from year to year?
This is pretty average. You sometimes will see some fluctuation, but when you look back, this tends to be right about on par with where we're at. I do know that on average for items that do go into our collection agency, we do collect about 10% of those dollars that are in there. And by keeping them in after the write-off, we have collected some. Now, granted, those numbers are still pretty small, but we do keep them in collections in hopes to be able to bring additional revenues in.
Okay. Any other question? Seeing, I'm going to ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to write off uncollectible accounts owed to the city in the amount of $161,000, subject to final approval of the finance director.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Move on to item number D of 4, and that's info only. And Michelle's going to talk about August 2022 financial report.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm Michelle Ferguson, the Financial Planning Manager, and I will be presenting the August 2022 monthly financial reports. On the first slide, I've highlighted the sales tax, which continue just as has on par with the rest of the year, continues to just keep coming in strong. If we keep going at this rate, the general fund will receive over $26 million in sales tax revenue this year, which is $1 million over what we received last year. Just to give you an idea, if you take a look at it on page 5, I think, you can see that in August, $2.563 million was received in the general fund for sales tax revenue, and that is the highest that we have seen for sales tax revenue, even when you look back at December and all the holiday spending. The average prior to that was $2.2 million per month.
Okay.
On this slide, down at the bottom, I've highlighted other revenues. This has been highlighted because you can see that budget compared to actuals is looking quite low, and we are seeing less revenues come in for fines and forfeitures and miscellaneous revenues, the same as we have been seeing throughout the year. But we have a very large amount of transfers out that have yet to be processed. Those happen throughout the year as needed, but the bulk of them happen in October. So you'll see those numbers get more aligned when you see the October report. So highlighted on this slide, this is the kind of the comparison of 2020, 21, 22, just in August, and the variance for those. So if you're just looking at the straight line method, you would expect 66.6% of the budget to be spent or received so far this year, and you can see that revenues are falling slightly short of that. Part of that is because of property tax. We get the second half of our property tax revenues from King County in October, so that number will go up in October. Also, business and occupation taxes, third quarter revenues come in or are mostly received in October. So again, October is going to kind of be the big month when you see a lot of these align a little bit better. And also the transfers in, we have a large amount of transfers in because of the ARPA money, and then those go and transfer right back out. So those are at 2% right now, and it'll be over $14 million by the end of the year. And down on expenditures, the only department that is looking like going over budget is that fire contracted services that I've been mentioning during all the other monthly reports that we've had. There was one expenditure that was paid for in 2022 that should have been paid for in 2021. So there'll likely be a budget change coming forward at the end of the year for that, so they don't go over budget. And then also down at the bottom, the non-departmental, that's going to be your transfers out. So there's still about $27 million in transfers out that have yet to be completed.
Okay.
So there's not a whole lot new going on that I haven't mentioned over the last couple months on these other funds. Most of the revenues continue to come in strong. It doesn't look like any of these funds are going to go over budget, but we'll take a closer look as we get a little closer to the end of the year. So again, not much on this slide. There are a couple of funds that will likely go over budget, and those are going to be our insurance funds. So workers' compensation, liability insurance, and property insurance. We are looking at doing a large amount of transfers in at the end of the year, one, to cover these over budget, but also because we need to increase the amount of fund balance that we have, because we need to be at that 70% confidence level. So it will likely be a few $1 million that we will need to transfer in. So we'll be bringing that forth on the Q3 budget adjustment.
When you transfer it, it'll be transferred in from the
General fund balance, yes. So, yeah, and the property insurance, it's only a little bit over budget, and they are expecting to see a refund, but that will come in as a revenue, which will still leave the expenditures a little shy of budget.
Okay. Any question, team? That was info only.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the information. All righty. That's all we have now, guys. So we are adjourned until 5 o'clock.
All righty.
Okay. Thank you, finance team.
2024, we did then bump up a modest increase in sales tax revenue. Our utility tax is also coming in well. And in fact, we do know that some of our utility taxes are tied to, obviously, some of our revenues that we receive here at the city, both water, sewer, drainage, garbage, telephone, etc. Going into 2023, we do have some of our utility revenues that are tied to CPI, and CPI is at 9.5%. So you're seeing some baseline adjustments to our utility taxes here at $1.4 million. And then in addition, you'll see some B&O tax adjustments. B&O tax, we're really not needing to adjust that much, just a slight modest increase. And then we have some other baseline adjustments related to tax. These ones are obviously going down for 2023 and back up in 24, just slightly. So when you start looking at this, and this is what's happening with our tax revenue, what I'd like to do is take us back over here. So when we start looking at the general fund and say, hey, what's going on with our property tax? Well, we know our property tax is going up. We know all of our taxes here are going up in 2023. We're expecting more than we expected to receive as part of the 22 budget. But when we begin shifting the revenues, now the look of our general fund is going to change. Instead of having over $32 million in property tax, we're going to be seeing $15.7 million in property tax in our general fund, and then the remainder of that will then go to our capital resources fund. And you'll see the increase in both the sales tax, utility tax, and B&O tax, that you were seeing before on the other screen. And you're seeing great increases in this because the sales tax and utility tax were receipted in the capital resources fund and now will be receipted in the general fund.